Oni Hunters is the name for Chapter 6 Season 1, and it has been an interesting season from start to finish. 3 new modes that were brought in while bringing in an old island to new players, collaborations, and some questionable changes make this season feel mixed for most of the players. While this may be a fun inaugural season for Chapter 6, it ended up giving players an unexpected burnout from the game again. The season brings in a brand new map called Onioshima, where all the POIs are based off of Japanese culture as well as being related to Mega City from Chapter 4. The new POIs are pretty much a hit or miss, as some POIs end up being good for the loot in the early game. Medallions are back from Chapter 5, and there are only 2 of them, one at Demon's Dojo by defeating the Night Rose boss, while the other is at the reworked island where you fight Shogun X. These bosses are improvements from the regular bosses we had for a long time. Night Rose only has 2 phases, and the boss feels like an action boss where the second phase makes you shoot the eyes of the Oni that's controlling Night Rose like a puppet. Shogun X, on the other hand, is one that is interesting where it fires 3 tracking projectiles, teleports all over the place, and summons fire pillars along with having a slash attack. The train makes a return and it has some improvements. The speed has been increased with slow speed at train stations, the loot is better, and capturing it for the first time guarantees a mythic weapon. One of the selling points for Chapter 6 is the new movement tech that was introduced, like ledge jumping, roll landing, wall kicking, and wall climbing, and while it does work at certain areas, the potential it has is being held back by the sprint bar. The weapons we get this season are brand new, with the exception of the suppressed pistol being the only weapon returning at the start of Chapter 6. This was a season where it started off with no sniper weapons until update 33.11, where Epic unvaulted the hunting rifle and sniper ammo. I'm not gonna go into detail about what has been unvaulted or the brand new weapons, but I honestly enjoyed all the weapons, but have no new sniper is something Epic should add as a new weapon for next season. As far as the seasonal items for this season, we have melee weapons, Oni mask, boons, and sprites. The kinetic blade makes a return from Chapter 4, but it is nerfed with a health bar for using the dashes and the melee attacks. The typhoon blade, however, is a brand new weapon, and while you have it equipped, you have faster sprint with reduced stamina consumption, but it does consume the weapon's health. You get access to a higher jump when the blade is equipped during sprinting, and then you have an air dash after doing a high jump. You also have sword abilities like the Falling Strike and Cyclone Slash, and it's really nice to see these weapons despite the nerfs it has gotten. We have the Oni mask, and there are 2 of them, the Fire Oni mask and the Void Oni mask. Starting with the Fire Oni mask, it has become one of the best weapons in the meta for this season. It can track nearby enemies with 2 shots while carrying 8 reserves if you obtain the epic version of the weapon, while the mythic version carries twice the amount from the epic version. The Void Oni mask, however, is just Fortnite's version of the Ender Pearl from Minecraft. If you don't know how the Void mask works, pretty much you just shoot an orb at a distance, wait a few seconds, and then you can teleport to that orb's location. It's essentially a fun item that can be a bit difficult to master when you only have 15 reserves, while the mythic version contains 50 reserves. The last new items are the sprites. There are 2 of them, water and air. Water is a healing item when deployed, while air is a rotation tool. These 2 are great items to have, but most of them just use it in the sprite shrines, and they are located all over the map. The only sprite that is not an item is the Earth sprite, which is an NPC and can be found in various locations throughout the map. Dropping a weapon near the Earth sprite will consume that weapon and give a random legendary rarity weapon. Going back to the sprite shrines, you can use one to locate nearby sprites to turn them in the shrine to acquire an epic rarity item as well as a boon of their respective element. Boons are considered augments 2.0, where each boon has their own properties. For water, it heals you and your teammates when swimming nearby. For air, it increased speed when equipping a pickaxe, and the last two are fire and void. To obtain both the fire and void boons, you have to beat NPCs at random POIs they spawn in every match. If the mini-boss is red, then you get the fire boon, while the black and purple one gives you the void boon. The fire boon gives you faster reload for weapons, while the void boon reveals nearby enemies after knocking an opponent down. All these boons are good to have, but one or two of them are hit or miss in my opinion. The Battle Pass this season is one of the best ones for an inaugural season for Chapter 6. Every skin has an appeal, and I honestly enjoyed the aesthetic for all the skins. I don't mind Hope having a third skin since she is still being fleshed out as a recent MC in the Fortnite storyline, so she gets a pass. We also have Baymax from Big Hero 6 as part of the Battle Pass, and I love the items that were included for his pages. I also liked 2 of the 3 super styles for this season's Battle Pass, but the third one honestly really feels off. The bonus skin is none other than the King of the Monsters himself, Godzilla. He is rocking the evolved look from the GXK New Empire movie, while having a second skin that has him energized with blue color for those not liking the pink aesthetic. A change for the bonus skin page is that you have to level up by playing the main battle royale in order to earn these items, which was my experience when unlocking these items as I couldn't level up through the other modes other than battle royale. There is one thing I didn't like with the battle pass, but we'll get to that later. But overall, the battle pass is the strongest part of the season. One thing to mention is the item shop, and we did get a lot of original skins that fit the season's theme, which is nice to have, but it did feel weird to not have a level up quest pack towards the end of the season. Normally they would have one, but they chose not to include one for this season, which is pretty odd because normally we would actually have a level up quest pack, but for this season they chose not to. Next we have the collabs, and there were a lot of them. We have never seen a large amount of collabs since Chapter 2 Season 5. I won't break down every single collab, but highlights include Gaming Legends, Marvel, DC, Mariah Carey, and Skibbity Toilet. I am not making that shit up when I mention Skibbity Toilet isn't Fortnite, but it is the reality we have to accept. All these collabs are amazing to see, but some are either hit or miss or bruh moment types of collabs that happen throughout the season. There were only 2 events that happened this season: Winterfest and Godzilla. Winterfest happened in update 33.11, and it started off as a mini live event where Mariah Carey ended up crashing the game, literally, mine included. Regardless, the Winterfest cabin comes back where you log in daily to earn free items, and this year's cabin did not hold back. During this time, you could have logged in daily to earn 2 free skins, the Yule Jacket and Santa Snoop. Other skins include the Guffmas Tree and Santa Shack. Mariah Carey is the headliner for this year's Winterfest, and she came in with 2 skins based off of her 2 albums, her Christmas album and the Emancipation of Mimi album. As for map changes, 70% of the map was covered in snow, and it covered 11 of the 18 POIs. You had the option to do event-timed quests that allowed you to earn a bunch of XP. I honestly enjoyed Winterfest this year as it was a step up as well as a redemption from last year's lackluster Winterfest. Update 33.20, however, is technically this season's mid-season update that makes way for Godzilla's arrival. 2 new POIs appeared during the Godzilla event: Shattered Span, a destroyed version of Shining Span, and Kappa Kappa Factory, what was once Kappa Kappa Farm. While the Godzilla event was active, you had the option to complete challenges based on the Godzilla event. It was fun, but was difficult to get eliminations as Godzilla. But how do you play as Godzilla? To play as him, a portal must spawn and a notification goes off, and players have the option to rush to the portal to get a chance to play as Godzilla himself. In some cases, Kong would spawn before players departed from the bus, and he delivered 5 Monarch supply drops, which meant that a Godzilla portal was guaranteed. The chances of getting the portal in-game was 20%, which was very low until it was adjusted to 40%. On the weekends during the event, however, the chances of getting the portal increased between 60% to 100%. Playing as Godzilla, movement is slow, but you get access to 3 abilities: Roar, Stomp, and Heat Ray. Roar is basically Flare Gun and Recon Scanner had a baby but nerfed. Stomp does 120 damage while it ends up launching players within that Stomp's area. And then you have the infamous Heat Ray, which deals 8 damage at a high fire rate in an AoE area. To make this balanced, the player controlling Godzilla has their health slowly deplete until it is completely drained. Once the health is drained, Godzilla lets out one final Heat Ray into the sky, a reference to 2019's King of the Monsters, and the player goes back to being a regular person, rotating in the air with all their items before being Godzilla, but with no shield. As players, however, you had to cause damage to weak points that are actually visible on Godzilla via the dorsal fins on its back and arms, as well as the neck. Doing enough damage on those weak points drops Godzilla fragments, which is a nerfed version of the 0-point crystal that has 3 dashes instead of unlimited dashes for a short amount of time. The player that does the most damage earns the 3rd medallion of the season and an exotic weapon, the Godzilla medallion and the burst quad launcher. The Godzilla medallion is essentially a reskin of the Cerberus medallion, while the burst quad fires up to 2 rockets per shot. In the end, on update 33.30, it removed all the Godzilla content and updates one POI to become an old POI once again. I really enjoyed this update because it allowed me to play as Godzilla to its fullest, even if it was really hard to see which person was shooting me on the weak points. The story for this season is whatever, but it is alright, with the return of the 0 point with some important story beats during Winterfest. The big one being that the loop is no more and many of the NPCs within various realities and islands can talk freely without the loop. The loop ends up being a battle royale thing. It follows up on Chapter 2 Remix, where we end up on Reality 783, the same reality that is related to Mega City, and the 0 point reawakens the magic on the island, and it also awakens the Oni on the island as well. Hope and Jones meet Kendo and Jade, and we investigate the magic within the island. Jade goes missing in the spirit realm, and Kendo suspects Daigo, his older brother, was behind all of it. All 3 characters are siblings, so we help Kendo craft splinter blades to free Night Rose from her enslavement, and is given the blades to save Jade. We end up collecting essence from Shogun X, and it is revealed that it came from the 0 point. Daigo ends up at a temple south of Warrior's Watch, meditating outside the demon portal in order to free Jade from the spirit realm, where it ends on the mini live event to wrap up the season. In the aftermath of the confrontation event, there is gold on the floor where the realm gate was at by Warrior's Watch. Night Rose is now free from the curse and is a permanent NPC at Demon's Dojo. Shogun X is replaced by a regular jobber boss, but his items are still intact, and Jade is now free with Daigo nowhere to be seen. We only get text dialogue throughout the story due to the ongoing SAG-AFTRA video game actor strike of 2024, and although a bummer for this to happen, I understand why it had to be that way. Now we go into the other modes for this season, and to start it off we have Fortnite OG. Not Chapter OG, Season OG, but the actual OG map that also supports Zero Build on the island. It is a return to the very first island that started Fortnite's journey into where it is today 8 years ago. Now, currently we experienced two versions of the map's early seasons and brought a return to old item icon and images, as well as old weapons we haven't seen in years. Season 1 was a memorable but rough one, as it reminded me why this map was meant for build in the first place. Although fun, it was plagued by real players, and it resulted in one of the most controversial changes by adding bots and EOMM to the mode, making some players like HypeX and Sheena crash out over this change. Yeah, I'm literally calling you two out because you couldn't shut the fuck up about this one. I don't mind the change, as having bots in the mode is a lesser evil, as I really enjoy hopping on the island time after time. Season 1 also marked the return of the very first level rewards you can buy in the item shop. Renegade Raider and Aerial Assault Trooper, along with their respective items, make a return with a catch. You have to earn 2 million XP, and you also have to spend 4,500 V-Bucks to buy all of them, which is $37 US if you bought the 5k V-Bucks. Both skins received the black and gold variant that appeared on the Paradigm skin when that was accidentally released last year for those that have bought the skins before they returned. One of the worst changes that they made for this mode was in update 33.20, where they brought in victory crowns, which ends up defeating the purpose of OG, just getting that victory royale without worrying about losing a damn crown. And it's honestly unnecessary, in my opinion, that they would actually do this for OG, and it just defeats the purpose of OG. Update 33.30, however, brings in Season 2, and it brought the Season 2 map to the forefront with tilted towers. And the best part of this season is the Zapatron making a return for the first time since 2017 through supply drop crates and chests. It is classified as a sniper. It has 5 rounds, and it really hits like a truck. Along with the new mode comes a new pass, the OG Pass. Costing 1,000 V-Bucks, the OG Pass contains 45 items for 3 skins that are not only remixed but were popular during those seasons in Chapter 1. For Season 1 we have Renegade Rebel, Aerial Assault Bomber, and Skull Commander, while Season 2 contains Sparkle Diva, Cuddle Team Specialist, and Night Conqueror. OG is the best new mode that was added into the first season of Chapter 6, as it allows new players to experience the pain and suffering veterans went through when Battle Royale released all those years ago. Shifting from OG, we go into Ballistic, Fortnite's take on Counter-Strike. It is essentially Fortnite's take on the first-person tactical shooter genre, which is okay in my opinion. 5v5, first to 7, and is just Counter-Strike in Fortnite. Most of the weapons are based off of the Chapter 5 weapons, but with different stats overall. You choose one of the 5 available flex gadgets that are unique: Proxy Mine, Bubble Shield, Recon Grenade, Frag, and Impulse. The only new item is the flashbang, and it is a flashbang you don't want to mess with. The mode also supports ranked and unranked versions, with only one map being playable at the moment. With update 33.30, the drum gun was added into the mode along with some balance adjustments. While it is fun, it's still in early access, so things can change over time with the inclusion of new maps, new flex gadgets, and weapons. The only thing I hate about this mode is how everyone literally overhyped it as innovative when it's just Counter-Strike in Fortnite. LEGO went through a shift from its survival sandbox mode to adding a new mode called Brick Life. The survival sandbox mode has been renamed to Odyssey, but going back to the new mode Brick Life, it's essentially LEGO Grand Theft Auto Online. I can't say much about LEGO GTA since I have never touched the mode at all, but for LEGO Odyssey, it added one of the oldest bosses from Save the World, the Storm King, along with various quality of life changes and adjustments. Couch co-op has been added, but the downside is that player 2 has to sign in with their Epic account because guest and quick play accounts are not supported, which is a bummer considering that this could have been a nice thing to have without the need of an account. Again, I haven't touched Odyssey since the Star Wars update last year, so I have no input on the LEGO modes. The final mode that got updates this season is Festival, and it delivered. The headliner for Season 7 is the Vocaloid Hatsune Miku, and it might be one of the best headliners we had for Festival. Her regular skin is an item shop skin, while a second version is through the season's Music Pass, renamed from the Festival Pass. I really loved the inclusion of Miku in Fortnite, although there were plans to have K-pop group NewJeans in as the headliner of Season 7 before it fell through. If you know, you know. The music included during the season is alright, but we ended up getting more anime songs from YOASOBI and CreepyNuts, which is a nice inclusion to have than the usual pop, hip-hop, and rock songs we would usually get. I wish we had more things to do in Festival other than just going there for a week with new songs like Where Is, Pro Drums, Pro Vocals, like give us that stuff and have it supported with like our rock band drums and microphones. That is all of the other modes for Fortnite, but the game ended up doing a massive change that affected the game as a whole. Cross Progression XP. While it is a neat thing to have, its execution might have been one of the worst things that has happened since the start of the season. All currencies for various passes have been phased out in exchange for XP throughout all its modes. The XP rate is based off of playtime in various modes per various minutes, which ends up making it feel slow to level up. Daily quests have been altered too, with Daily Quest XP gain now has it gained for various modes except Save the World. Epic is still throwing Save the World under the bus a lot more, even if it was that one mode that they had before the shift to Battle Royale. Hell, even Rocket Racing is supported by the new Daily Quest XP, even though that mode has stopped putting content because it fucking died. Epic should have Saved the World as part of the daily XP gain for future seasons, but most likely not regardless of the outcome. Another thing I didn't like was how buying rewards were increased on the LEGO Pass and the bonus rewards in the Battle Pass from 150 V-Bucks to 300 V-Bucks. It really did feel like a greedy tactic on Epic, and it should be reverted immediately. The last criticism I have is the crew changes they made. When you subscribe, you get access to all the passes, but there's a catch. When you unsubscribe and let the subscription expire, you lose access to all the items you earned while on the crew subscription minus the Rocket Pass. It makes you force yourself to buy those passes, which makes the crew subscription a fucking scam when you just want to keep the passes even if you don't want to rebuy them. Like, come on, Epic. Please rework the crew system so that way it doesn't feel like a scam. The last thing that happened during the season was an unexpected burnout during the early parts of the season. Even right now, I honestly felt tapped out from the season in general due to other games other than Fortnite that were engaging to play. And it honestly made me question all the things that were happening during the season, which has never made me feel burnout from the game the second time, but at least this burnout was really tolerable than Rex burnout thanks to the fisting fetish players had in that season. I will die on that goddamn hill where Rekt had a fisting fetish. Oni Hunters was a fun season but was plagued with questionable changes and an unexpected burnout from the early days of the season. The various changes throughout the season were either good, bad, or downright ugly, and it really was a bummer to see that happen during the season. I hope that the upcoming Lawless season fixes the issues and changes that were in the season for good or bad. And that's going to be my review for Oni Hunters. Now, as far as final thoughts, I thought the season was fine. I really enjoyed the return of hit scan on weapons because bullet drop was so ass. I really loved the collabs that we ended up getting this season, and it was a lot. It reminded me a lot of Chapter 2 Season 5 where Pandora's box was opened for collabs. But because of the changes that happened during the season, I really felt like it turned me off, but it also gave me a burnout out of nowhere, and I ended up playing a lot of games that kept me engaged like Warframe and Destiny 2, but I still kept going with my daily XP grind to literally max out every single pass that came out during this season. But I want to know your thoughts on Oni Hunters in the comments down below, and I will see you guys next time. Take care, everyone. If you are new to the channel, make sure to like the video, comment down below, click subscribe, and ring the bell for any future videos I put up on the channel.